What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Jump to Start Racing podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Ruben, say hello.
What's going on, guys?
Yhancy.
Hey, I like your energy today.
Yhancy, I have a question.
Yeah.
What's wrong with yours?
No. Watching. How did you experience that Monaco Grand Prix?
Mixed emotions, man. Because obviously I'm a Leclerc guy.
Wait. What I really wanted to hear was who watched the Monaco Grand Prix, or did the Monaco Grand Prix watch you?
So Monaco Grand Prix definitely watched me. I didn't see the whole race. I saw the highlights. The race in 30 on F1 TV, and I heard the race while I was sleeping, but it wasn't that much.
On Cloud 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the
Counting
start.
sheep.
I saw the best part of the race which was the start, but then after that it was just a snooze fest.
Oh, I thought you were going to mention the tire change.
No, I mean,
Well,
you know what's crazy is that I woke up and
And that happened.
I woke up like right after that happened. Like I woke up and I'm like, what the hell happened? And I'm looking and trying to see who's in what place or whatever. And I'm like, what happened to Bottas? What's going? Like who's
Somebody gotta know.
Sainz is second. What? What's going on here? And then I went back to sleep.
And then you fell back out.
Because but they didn't. The guy, Crofty or Martin Brundle didn't mention what happened to
In those 5 minutes, in those 5 minutes that you
those
came
5
back.
minutes that I came back alive.
oh man, and then that put you right back to sleep. But
Yes.
before we get into the race, let's talk about a little bit of news. Just one, I guess, piece of news just to kind of get into it. But I don't know why it's back in the news. Daimler to lose full control over the Mercedes F1 team. If you guys recall, last year, the team had kind of split up control of the Formula One racing team. 33% Toto Wolff, 33% Daimler Group, which owns Mercedes, and 33% Ineos. So now, where's that 1% that was left?
I think it's 33.3%.
So it's evenly split out.
Yes.
So now, it's said now, oh my God, Mercedes is not going to control the team. Big deal or no big deal?
It just basically the financial report came out and what they said was that those shares that Ineos bought were still up for sale. So I guess the sale is not finalized. I don't know what's going on.
They're waiting for Ruben's bid.
Yeah.
They're waiting for my bid.
Ruben, come on, bro. You got to speed up the process.
Sure. I can't even press the buttons right here.
You don't got to press buttons. All you got to do is shout out the hard, cold cash, my friend. Was it cold, hard cash? There you go. So the sale hasn't been finalized, so there's obviously going to be speculation as to if Mercedes is going to, or Daimler is going to be owner of that team. I mean, the team is still going to go on. They agreed to the Concord agreement. So
Yep.
I don't know.
So for sure, we have a couple of more years with them.
Mercedes will be there. That team will be there.
In some form.
In some form, but we don't know what a duration. Obviously, you always have teams that have changed.
It'll be Ineos.
Ineos
I
F1
just
team.
happen to be wearing that hat today.
You got the hat?
Yeah.
Is that really the Ineos?
It's the Ineos hat. Yeah, look.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It is?
Nice. Okay.
I'm part owned.
Okay.
Obviously, you saw it with Red Bull. Red Bull used to be Ford. Then it was Jaguar. Then it was Red Bull. Force India was Spike. I think it was Spiker before. Then it was,
Now it's Aston Martin.
now it's Aston Martin. So, I think the only team on the grid that has never changed their name is Ferrari.
Okay.
So,
What are they going to change to? Dino?
Enzo. So big deal or no big deal?
nah, I don't think so. Unless something more serious comes in. It just seems, honestly, what that report seems, it was just reflecting on what was in the financial report. And it doesn't have any like hard news as to who's the ownership of the team. I think eventually when everything settles down, it'll be Ineos 33.3%, Toto Wolff 33.3%, and Daimler 33.3%.
Stay that
Until they decide to sell their shares.
Okay.
Nice place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruben, hit the drop.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
My absolute favorite.
What is the continuation of what he says after that?
30 years ago, Niki Lauda once said, "Hey, monkey, you could drive."
Monkey, could drive a car. Did you memorize the whole thing?
I've watched it so many times. I can't. On the spot, I can't do it.
You can't do it on the spot?
No.
I'll tell you what, for our next trivia, if you can memorize the whole thing, you get 2 bonus points.
2 bonus points?
Whoa.
That's a challenge I might have to take.
There you go.
All right, so race
By the way,
weekend.
that offer stands for the whole year.
For the whole year, so I could
my
get 2
God.
points every week.
No. Whenever you want to use it.
Is that like a fastest lap?
It's like a card, like a wild card. Like I want
Gotcha.
to use it now.
Okay. Stories coming into the weekend. Nothing really major. Practices. We saw a crash. We saw. Nikita Mazepin.
No,
Schumacher.
Oh, Schumacher. Yeah, the other house.
dude, you really up? He's out to get him.
He actually did okay this weekend.
Yeah, he did.
So qualifying, we saw.
Best part of the weekend.
Yeah, the best part of the weekend, the Monaco Grand Prix. We saw Danny
Because
Ricciardo.
he was awake for that.
Yes, he actually was. He was texting us. Danny Ricciardo lost weekend. Not started there, but kind of compounded there. Qualified 12th. What the heck is going on with this? Where we see Carlos Sainz. We see Carlos Sainz is doing just much better than both Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel, but we just don't see the trouble. Like if you measure against the teammates, Daniel Ricciardo seems to be really behind the 8 ball here, or not behind the 8 ball, but behind the curve.
Let's look at.
Is it just plain luck?
I don't know.
Let's look at those 4 drivers. You have Ricciardo, you have Vettel, you have Perez, and you have Sainz. These are all drivers that have gone to new teams. And we're not even counting Alonso in this because Alonso's been out for 2 years. So, who would have thought that Ricciardo would have been the one that is taking the longest
Not I.
to acclimate to the new team?
I thought he would have acclimated the quickest, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's changed teams so many times. You would have thought,
Just twice.
well,
Sainz has.
Sainz has also,
Changed a lot more than that.
but what Sainz has done anytime he has changed teams is that he actually moves to that country, like he moved to London or near
Woking.
McLaren, to Woking near McLaren, and he was in that factory every day learning everything about the team. He moved to Maranello, and even there was news reports that the Ferrari engineers kind of didn't know what to do with him because they were so surprised that he was so involved, but it was a good thing because obviously it has paid off so far.
So he's devoted.
Yeah, but he also saw who I thought was struggling the most out of those 4 drivers. Sebastian Vettel have an awesome weekend this weekend, and Ricciardo is nowhere. And it's not one of those things where if you see his body language and you hear his interviews, he even says it. He can't explain it. He doesn't know what it is. It's not that I guess he's not getting used to the car, but he's still perplexed. He said after qualifying, there's no way I can be 1 second behind because he thought he put in a good lap during qualifying.
Behind Lando Norris?
Yeah, behind Lando Norris, yeah. I don't think he was a second, but he was close. He was like 0.6, I believe. So
is he like struggling to find the honey badger or something? Like, what is it?
I don't know, man. It just
Fucking his mojo?
He doesn't have a confidence, and we all know when drivers don't have confidence in what they're doing, they struggle even more.
He did pretty good in Barcelona. So that's what I thought was the turning curve for him. Because of his result in Barcelona, I thought he was going to just keep escalating this weekend.
Yeah,
but he just fell back again.
Didn't. I don't know.
That's why I say it's just plain luck. You see, he was not able to put a clean lap.
Here's the thing. How can we comment on that when he doesn't even know?
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't even have an explanation. He is perplexed right now. And hopefully he can bounce back in Baku. But I don't know, man. It just seems like he's not getting a grip of it. And then Lando's having the best season he's ever had so far this year. So it just exasperates everything.
It's strange. We talked about this coming into the race that Monaco, and after we said it, of course, everybody started talking about it, that Daniel Ricciardo, his most points have come in Monaco, that he's a very good driver there, one of the best on the grid, but we just didn't see it this weekend. I don't know what's up because we saw the results from Lando.
Yeah, and the car went well. It wasn't like the car didn't go well.
Maybe he's just distracted. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's a bit, and it's also tough because, I mean, anytime that he has gone to a new team, his teammate has done a little bit better than him, but not by far. Like Nico Hulkenberg didn't trounce him at the beginning of the season when he was with Renault, and then he he got a hold of everything and was just beating him. Same thing with Ocon. I mean, but this season it's almost like what he did when he joined Red Bull with Vettel. He joined Red Bull and he just came out guns a-blazing and beat Vettel by a lot during that season. Then obviously Vettel went to Ferrari the next year. But I don't know. He has never had a teammate do that well against him. Well, maybe Max, but he handled that well. I don't know.
It wasn't even that far. Max wasn't that far ahead.
He wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, he wasn't that far ahead. And then they traded a few seasons where he beat Max and Max beat him, but that was more reliability issues. So you can't really say who was better than who. Obviously, Red Bull picked Max because he's the future. He's younger, and he's obviously shown why they picked him. But I don't know, man. It's just like I said. It's hard to explain because he can't even explain it. So let's just hope it gets better.
Yeah, it's.
We know that he can be better. So
Yeah, that's what we're expecting that from him. We're expecting him to get at that pace that we know he could do, and he'll be there. Let's see. Hopefully in Baku,
yeah,
it turns around.
I think it'll come around, but
I hope he just go skinny dipping in Monaco or something to get all the bad mojo off of him and stuff like that, and just come back.
So speaking of maybe not skinny dipping, but people that walk off the track onto their yacht to party after they crash. Alfa Romeo, the two Alfa Romeos, they were in the mix. They both looked handy around Monaco. In particular, Antonio Giovinazzi ended up qualifying 10th. So we talked about Daniel Ricciardo, right? Kimi Raikkonen was 5/100ths of a second down from Ricciardo, and Antonio Giovinazzi outqualified Ricciardo, who was supposed to, we all expected to do much better. What do you guys think? Is it a function of the track? Is it a function? So this is not the first time we talk about Alfa Romeo getting better. Are they just overall starting to come around?
I don't think so. I think it's obviously they've gotten better. They've gotten better than last year. Last year they were running, with Haas at the back of the grid, with Haas and Williams, I should say, on the back of the grid. They're right at they're knocking at the door of getting into points. They're like at the end of the midfield pack.
So is that the car or driver's experience?
Listen, what I notice about because Monaco is, you can't really take any conclusions on Monaco because Monaco is such an offlier track, man. It's just, this was, for example, let's put it this way. This was, Max Verstappen was the fastest person to go around this track ever at the average speed, and it was only 90 miles per hour.
The average.
The average speed. So for you to, I think that the best thing that you can do is you have a good package, aero package, downforce.
And chassis.
You're going to go well around Monaco. And Alfa Romeo has been one of the teams that have been very innovative as far as what they do with their aero. Obviously, they're not very good in high speed corners or down straights, but as far as like low speed corners, they've always been decent. So, and this off and on. So I wouldn't conclude that they've gotten better. I think we got to wait and see. But have they gotten better? Yes, but to the point where they're fighting for points every single race, I don't know. I don't think so. Or qualifying into Q3, I don't think so.
I think the gains that they've gotten this year has been because of the engine. the engine change benefited them a lot. But I have to agree with Yhancy. They're not going to be fighting for points every week. They're not at the level of AlphaTauri. You could say that. AlphaTauri.
No, absolutely not.
So and that's what you want them to be. You want them to be around that level. That's what they need to be. I think that's what they should be.
I think they're more fighting with like Aston Martin, but they're still behind Aston Martin.
Yeah.
So
This year.
yeah.
Because Aston Martin, obviously.
But like I said, they're very. If you see their car, it's very unique as far as their aero and what they do.
They go their own way.
They go their own way. It works for them sometimes. It doesn't work for them, but I think this was just one of the weekends that it worked for them.
So it's a benefit. It's a hinder sometimes. Sometimes it hurts them.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it's
What do you say?
draggy. I don't know.
I think because Monaco is such an outlier, it's hard to really extrapolate any kind of real data out of it. You're going to obviously be in situations where you're like in Hungary, Singapore, and then that's pretty much it. Like as far as you'll be able to say, okay, these cars will be better, they'll handle better around the track, but like you're not really going to get anything. So, okay, so Alfa Romeo is going to be better at Hungary and Singapore than we expect them to. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like what Williams is saying, that they're only going to be good at certain tracks. We don't know what tracks they're going to be good.
They'll tell you at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
So, probably the biggest shocker of qualifying and of the weekend, Lewis Hamilton, just nowhere. Completely just out of sight, out of mind. His Q3 time, 1:11.095, was slower than Valtteri Bottas' Q1 time of 1:10.938. What happened?
I don't know. Well, what we do know happened. The cooler temperatures during that day, they couldn't turn on the tires. We know that the Mercedes car is not good when they can't turn the tires on, meaning when they can't warm up the tires well. And if you have no grip around Monaco, it's pretty tough to get around there. Even when they were using the softest tire, because this is the first race all year where they have used the C5 compound, which is the softest tire. And that's always the case. The minute that we go to Monaco, they always introduce. Remember when they had like the Hypersoft?
Yep.
And that's what they introduced them. But that was the reason why they just couldn't turn the tires on. They couldn't get enough grip. I don't know what was happening with Lewis, because obviously Valtteri Bottas was able to qualify way ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I guess he just had an off weekend, and he has that every once in a while. And obviously, this is not his best track. This is definitely not a Mercedes track. It's not a track that Lewis Hamilton historically has done well. I think he's won 2 times here.
I don't recall.
2 or 3 times he's won. But we'll look that up. But yeah, it's not his best track, and he every once in a while he does throw up one of these weekends, and then he pops up next weekend and is like lights out. So I wouldn't worry about it. It just, well, it sucks for them, but it's good for us because the tables have turned.
I think this weekend, pretty much, he created doubts on him, on how the handling of the car was, obviously because of cooling, not getting the tires to fire up, but having been able, he was having such a hard time to pull like a fast lap and really do it cleanly, because he was going a lot in the runoff and stuff like that, especially coming out of the tunnel, which is the highest speed, the highest, there's the area which you could say you come up with the highest speed. So I think that created some kind of, not resistance, but like maybe, shouldn't I, like a little small margin of doubt of him throwing the car all over the place.
Yeah, which he never has.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember also, Mercedes has, I think, the biggest car in Monaco. Which
The longest wheelbase, yeah.
So there is no room for that.
Right.
There's no room for, am I going to slip in this turn? Is the car really going to be there? So you have to always, especially around the pool area and stuff like that, you cannot miss those turns.
Right.
Do you think that they're still struggling with their aero package? And by struggling with their aero package, I just mean like the low rate versus high rate concept and
Yeah,
kind
that's
of the
still not
change.
100% settled down for them yet. You know?
Yeah, but I don't think that was an issue this weekend because you saw Bottas qualifying up in the top 3. Could have
That's true,
gone.
too.
He was one of those drivers that thought that he could get pole. And Vettel had a great weekend. Aston Martin had a great weekend. Those are the only 2 cars
Very
that
true.
that run that low rate concept. And by the way, before you say anything, Lewis Hamilton has won 3 times: 2008, 2016, 2019 in Monaco. By the way.
Fernando Alonso twice, Sebastian Vettel twice
Mm-hmm.
for the other active drivers.
So the thing I was going to say was because you mentioned the tires.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was more comfortable with the colors of the tires. You know, purple and blah, 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 than having just the... No, because you know what it is? You guys laugh, but...
You came out of left field with that.
No, because you were mentioning the tires earlier,
Yeah, I
and that
got
was
you.
throughout the whole weekend. That was my confusion, because when they started talking about the tires, so the hardest compound this weekend was the softest compound in Barcelona.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so why is it white?
So remember they
No,
have
and I know
5
that-
different tires.
Yeah, but it's still, they made it into 3 colors. So I think that also creates some kind of confusion for us to have a down-packed
Idea
of what's really being used. Oh yeah, so we changed. What was the red one last week, and it's not the white one. What was what was the yellow one last week?
So what you're saying is basically by the attempt to simplify made it even more difficult now.
For me at least,
Even
yeah.
though we've done it was this the second year that they're doing this.
Yeah.
For me, this past weekend was super confusing when they went into detail of how in Barcelona the softest tire is now the hardest tire this weekend. So where this freaking new red one came out from, and how come it's still red? That's what I want. Right away. That's how I went to it. And how come it's still red? How come it's not magenta or something?
I get it,
You
but
preferred the rainbow.
for the casual fan, it's a little easier.
Yeah. I mean, that's-
No, it's just like, okay, so this, even if for a casual fan, like, okay, so this white one was a red one that ran last.
No,
Yeah,
they
but even
wouldn't
like-
even think about that though.
so for example, like if you saw how the race panned out though, everybody went to the hardest tire, to the hard tire, and everybody struggled.
Hard tire this weekend.
this weekend.
It's not the hardest
which
tire
is
they
the
could make.
C3. Well, yeah, C3.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is the C3. But everybody struggled with that tire when they got it on because it wasn't hot enough, and they just couldn't get it up to temperature. And even when they did, it wasn't even fast.
I think the guy that used it the most was Stroll this weekend, and he was not a stellar driver this weekend. Yeah, he was having problems too,
Yeah.
keeping them up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Lewis Hamilton's qualifying, which not pretty. The team that was the most surprising for all of us, Ferrari. Where did that pace come from? We ended up seeing Charles Leclerc come out in. Well, wait. Obviously, we'll talk about this whole thing now, but Charles Leclerc ends up in pole position. Carlos Sainz ends up in 4th.
Go ahead, Jens.
Charlie! He got pole. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right, Willis?
Yo, that is exactly what happened to me. I was so happy when he put in that lap,
And then-
all of a sudden I see the screen. I'm like,
It's like
What?
the
Like,
Doc
what?
Rivers gift.
Go ahead, Yancy.
dude, I was here. I was here. I was watching the race. I mean, watching qualify, and I was so happy because obviously they were going well, but it was and then I don't know, man. I can't even explain it because I was super happy about it. Obviously, you come into the weekend, you expect Ferrari to do well, but you don't expect them to be that good. You saw, I think we went by practice, but when we saw those FP2 times, we were like, wait, Ferrari 1-2, FP2, like in Monaco.
In the
Really?
predictions, did any of us say anything Ferrari to be that high? No.
No.
I called for Leclerc to be 3rd in the race, and
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be 4th.
And I said, hey, he's never had a good weekend here. And he did.
And
He
Dude,
did have a
the
good.
curse-
All he had to do was just not do that.
Not crash on purpose.
I think it's progressive. Like he's done better every time. Maybe next year he'll do a lot
So
better.
next year he's
I
gonna
don't-
what?
He's definitely going to be a podium
No,
next year.
next
Next
year
year he's
maybe,
gonna
He'll finish the race.
maybe he'll start the race. Well, he has
Or
to.
next
You
year he's
know
gonna
that
actually park the car instead of crashing it.
He's never finished a race in Monaco, even in the lower categories.
That's ridiculous.
Never.
That's ridiculous.
Because he was the one that got crashed too when the Toro Rosso back then lost the brakes. He got crashed behind.
No, that was. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yes, going
When
into
Hardy-
the
yes.
into the swimming pool
Yep.
chicane, right?
Yeah.
No, after the tunnel.
After the tunnel, yeah.
The
After
Toro Rosso lost the
they
brakes
went
and
and they went through the runoff. Yep.
Gotcha.
So
You see, I get
that
a
was when
little
he was
flashbacks
with.
like that.
That's when he was with Alfa Romeo.
With Alfa Romeo, yeah. So even back then, not.
No, and then the next year, which was 2019, he did some crazy overtakes because
He was
Ferrari
so far down.
messed it up for him in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
qualifying, and then he wound up crashing out too. So it's just I don't know, man. But
But he crashed on purpose, yes.
no, he didn't.
Wellington, what do you say to us then?
No, I think
Was he on the fastest lap again?
Yes.
he was. I don't think he was going to be on the fastest lap, but he was on a fast.
Lap.
He was on the second run, the second qualifying lap.
I think he would have beaten his current time because he had greens. I think
Yeah.
so. Coming off of the swimming pool chicane, he crashes the front right side into the bumpers.
Just stopped it.
Just
He just turned.
I think
into
Latifi
early.
did that as well, no?
Yes.
yes.
That's the same spot.
Latifi did-
And
If you watch,
Max did that a couple of years ago too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you watch every driver going through that corner,
They either hug
you
it
see them.
or do it too
yeah,
much.
they have to hug it because especially in qualifying. So it just seems like he just turned in too early. It was just a misjudgment. He hit the curb, and then once you hit that curb, obviously his wheel was off. He's a passenger. So when you hit the other curb on the opposite side, because obviously it's
car
a
jumps,
chicane,
huh?
the car jumps and it goes into the
Yep.
barrier on the right side.
You know, Nico Rosberg, he saw the Latifi crash before it even came up on a replay. He was like, "Oh, he hit the bumper, he caught too much air, and hit the wall." That's for sure what happened. You know, for sure.
For sure.
He nailed it, and it's exactly what Yhancy was talking about.
Let me tell you something. Nico Rosberg always.
That's a lot of knowledge.
This dude knows what he's talking about. I think he is probably, he's definitely one of the most underrated drivers ever.
He should take over for Brundle.
And he,
When Brundle
yeah,
retires.
when Brundle retires, but he,
Because I don't think Brundle's done yet.
Brundle's good.
He's
I
still-
love Brundle.
but
He
his,
still impresses me.
but
almost
his
on every weekend.
insight. I mean, if you
It's
can just ignore the for sure all the time,
For sure.
it's really unbelievable. It's pretty cool, man.
For sure.
For sure. So, all right. So that's Charles. I guess we'll talk about it going into the race, but that's Charles Leclerc as far as qualifying, pole position, unbelievable lap. So I gotta say, I think that
And to think that you had two other people that were on pretty good laps as well in Bottas and Max to challenge that lap because and Max was on all
Wait, wait.
purpose.
and Sainz was
Sainz
killing it too.
Yeah, I mean he was on all purpose.
Max was. He was so in that first sector. Brundle was like, "Holy!" I think it was like an 18.4, and he was just Brundle was like, "This is gonna be it," and then we hit
And red flags.
Yeah. So all right. So that was Charles Leclerc. Now we have to do the. Smooth operator.
Look at us. He's been in tune and everything.
There's a reason why his hat is red.
No.
So listen, we talked about the Ferrari car. We talked about other drivers moving into the teams. Carlos Sainz has, as we talked about earlier, has just done such a tremendous job of getting adapted to that car. Better than Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, Sebastian Vettel. Is this the last podium that we see for him this year?
I think it's the first of many to come. This year,
This year,
No, we gotta just see next on the next race in Baku the pace of the car because obviously, it's tough to judge anything that was done in Monaco because Monaco is such a limited on everything. Obviously, if you have good aero, you're gonna do good in Monaco. But speed is really a factor here. Not really. It's just this. You could say it's a challenging track for the drivers. And we always known that Carlos Sainz is a very good driver, and he showed this weekend.
and he gets better and better every year.
It's just his
I'll tell you
fitness,
what.
he's just catching. He's
Ferrari-
he absorbs all this energy everywhere he goes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he just keeps getting better and better. He went from Toro Rosso, he went to Renault. Then from Renault, he went to McLaren.
McLaren.
yeah.
And every team he's gone to, obviously McLaren was the best one of the out of the teams that we had before. So he was already showing. He was always there. Fourth, fifth.
And he always has a positive influence on the team.
Yep.
I think that
He's always left the team better off.
Yes, and I think that he's definitely doing the same thing at Ferrari, which is why I thought it was a very good signing by.
I think he's only
By
missing
Ferrari.
the little bond that he had with Lando. He's missing it at Ferrari though.
Yeah,
Well, we'll get to
definitely.
that.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Ferrari. Ferrari, obviously, and just looking at the interview, just hearing Leclerc after qualifying, he doesn't expect the car to do as well as it did on any other tracks because obviously it was a surprise to them. Now, are they always there or thereabouts where if something happens ahead, let's say Hamilton has a bad weekend or he crashes out or Bottas crashes out or one of the Red Bulls, something happens to one of the Red Bulls, yes, they can be in contention for a podium because they are, I would say, the fourth best car on the grid right now, behind McLaren. So we would put Mercedes, we would put Red Bull, Mercedes close, and then you have McLaren and Ferrari. Now, the two tracks that I am looking at where they can be competitive if they can keep this up would be Singapore and Hungary.
Singapore. Yes.
Okay, so those tracks, if their car runs well as good as it did here in Monaco, those would be the two tracks left on the calendar where you can say that Ferrari definitely has a chance to podium. I wouldn't say win the race, but they have a chance to podium. But they do have an outside chance to win. Those are the only two ones that I see.
And those
Other
two
than
tracks
that,
you
it would be something that happens ahead,
Yeah.
and they would take it.
But something's always going to happen. I mean, think about it. Max hasn't had a DNF all year so far.
Yes.
And those two tracks you mentioned are not the easiest track in the world to go into either.
No. But they've shown that they're very good at low speed corners. They're sector 3 times in Barcelona. Showed that. Obviously in Monaco they showed that.
Do they have the flappy wing too or no?
They do.
They do have it. Okay.
They do, and they admitted it. So that's something that obviously. Oh well, maybe they'll run well in Baku. Because they have, but they did admit it that yes, they're gonna have to spend some time in like stiffening up that rear wing because they're
So by
obviously
saying that they're
it's-
already admitting that they're probably over.
because it's a loophole in the regulations, and obviously this is what all these teams do.
yeah,
When you
push the
have
boundaries,
when you push the boundaries and you get away with what you get away with what you can get away with.
cheating engine.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say. We're Dominican, right? So we know. No.
Oh my god.
Do we see? I don't know. Who comes out ahead at the end of the year? Leclerc or Sainz?
Leclerc.
Points wise.
Leclerc.
Okay.
Listen, Sainz is there or thereabouts. Are there going to be some weekends that he beats Leclerc? Yeah, he's already done it. I don't see why not. But
This weekend could have been one of them.
Leclerc.
Well, he did beat him.
Yeah, but Leclerc.
No, I'm talking about
Qualifying?
as far as like the qualifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far
Like real pace, real.
his
race.
Leclerc's 1 lap pace is incredible and is way ahead of Sainz.
But that lap, that Sainz was doing.
No, Sainz is close, but I don't think he's better than Leclerc.
Right. So if you need one lap from any driver on the grid, Leclerc is inching closer and closer to the top for me.
Yeah,
He
well-
might be the
Yeah.
top.
Well, remember the question that I posed to you guys last weekend when Hamilton won his 100th pole. Who of the young guys would be the one to contend for that record? And I would start saying that Leclerc is
I don't think anybody.
up there. I don't think they'll
There's
get it.
just
I'm
too many
saying-
other good.
I'm just talking about who would be the best qualifier
Yeah.
out of all the young guns. You would have to put Leclerc up there because he's already had 8 pole positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
So-
the engine didn't help them. Okay.
So, speaking of Leclerc,
Dude, you're in the car. You still got to get it.
the race itself, prior to the start of the race, Yhancy, if you could please explain what happened from the crash to the morning of the race.
Yo, you nailed it. You nailed it.
I gotta get one right.
Oh man, Yhancy, I mean, Ruben, give yourself a round of applause right there.
Oh my God. Nailed it.
Walk us through it, Yhancy.
Okay, so obviously Leclerc.
Welcome back, right?
Yes. On Saturday, Leclerc obviously turned in too early, bumped into the guardrail. He went off the curb and went into the wall. His front right.
That's what took the blunt of the damage.
Yeah, front right went into the wall, damaging his right wing and front suspension. Now, what happens? You go in, absorbs the thing, and then the back went into the wall too. So obviously, you have when the back of the car hits the barrier. What you're worried about is if your gearbox is messed up. Now,
Why?
obviously,
Why?
because the gearbox is back there. That's the transmission.
No,
That's
but
where you change the wheel.
why are you worried about that?
Because if you have to switch out the gearbox after you're in Parc Fermé or any part, you
It's
take a penalty.
There you
Yeah,
go. That's what I wanted.
because the gearbox has to run for a certain amount of races.
Correct.
If you change it at all, then you're getting a penalty.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yes. No.
No, at that time, at that part of the race, that level of the race that we're in, yes.
Yes, in Parc Fermé, but also yes, the gearbox has to run for a certain amount of races before you could swap it out.
You get 3 per year, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can swap those out between the two.
No, it has to.
You have to run it.
You have to
for-
run
We have to look deeper into that too. For like
Yeah, but you have to run it for a certain amount of races. If you
Yeah, we know
change
that.
it,
That's part of the cost-cutting
Then you
measures
get- then
that
you
were
get a-
introduced last year.
yeah, then you get a 5-place grid penalty. So, Ferrari checked it that
The
day,
gearbox.
that night. They said it doesn't appear. It doesn't appear to.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're in Parc Fermé, so they can't really go into detail. And now, when you're in Parc Fermé, also you can only change parts that are damaged by the crash. So you can't
So
change anything.
I'm sorry.
else.
Let's back up here. What is Parc Fermé?
Parc Fermé.
Is that a parking lot?
No, that's what it sounds like though. Parc Fermé is the car goes into Parc Fermé right before qualifying, meaning that you cannot change
Touch it.
anything on the car. You can't change any parts. You can't change nothing. The only thing you can't even change the setup. That's what practice is for. Practice is for you to figure out what the setup is for the car. You can't touch
Choose it and
anything.
keep going.
And that's it. So once you're in that phase, there's only certain things that you can change, but that's only if you get into an accident or if the part is not working. Now, when you go into, let's say if something happens in qualifying, it's what they call like for like. You have to change parts like for like. So every part that you change can be a different specification, has to be the same specification
Of course.
as you went into Parc Fermé. And if you damage anything, you could only change the parts that are damaged. So Ferrari went through their inspection. They said the gearbox
It's fine.
is fine. Boom. They had to change everything on the right side of the car because that's what hit the thing. Now, when they went through their inspection, well, they went to the grid. Let me just go. They went up to the grid. They did their installation laps, and obviously Leclerc, there was a problem with the car. They thought it was the gearbox. Leclerc thought it was the gearbox because obviously that's what they're worried about. That's what everybody's talking about.
That's what everybody thought it was right
And
away.
everybody thought it was. Now, with further inspection, it was the drive shaft, which is basically the rod that transfers the power from the engine to the wheels. The left side drive shaft, the
one that never
opposite
touched.
side of the car, not the one that hit it.
Yeah.
So Ferrari obviously did not check that side of the car because there was no damage on that side of the car. So when they finally ran it,
Would the FIA allow them to check that side?
yes, they can if they want to, but
But
they
if
just
there's
have
no,
to.
there's no visual damage, they can't change the part.
No. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. You have to check it, but they didn't even check it.
Gotcha. So
You know
they
what
could
I'm
have
saying?
probably
You
picked it
can
up.
check it, you can see it, and you can say, oh, Mr. FIA. I don't know who the hell it would be.
Yeah.
Mr. FIA, listen, this is damage.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, look, we're missing a gear on this thing. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
we're
whatever it
missing-
is.
The drive shaft is broken, but
Twisted
they
or whatever
never
it is.
even checked it. So maybe, and we don't even know if they maybe even would have looked at it, that it would have been damaged because obviously when things start moving, that's when things start getting messed up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the issue. Now, Ferrari has come out. They've said that, yes, it was because of the
collision.
crash
Yep.
that it was damaged, but it was nothing to do with the gearbox. The gearbox is fine. They'll probably use it in Baku. But it was a drive shaft that went dead. Obviously, it broke. And they never checked it. So now they're going to have to do, when something like that happens, I'm pretty sure this is how we all learn our lessons, right? We have to learn the hard way. We have to do more thorough inspections to make sure that everything is correct so something like this doesn't happen. and you don't lose out on an opportunity to win the Monaco Grand Prix. And
Double
potentially
podium?
get a 1-3.
Yeah. Ouch.
So that is what happened. It's completely heartbreaking because Leclerc drove his arse off this weekend.
I thought that was Bottas.
He had a great. I mean, obviously, he had that qualifying lap was special, and definitely deserved the pole. I don't think he did anything on purpose. But then in his home race, everybody's cheering for him. You know, starting on pole, obviously, it would have been hard to keep.
I wasn't cheering for him.
Well, of course, you weren't, hater. But obviously the Red Bulls are faster, but it's super hard to overtake in Monaco. And there's really two corners where you really have to defend, which would be that chicane coming out of the tunnel, turn 10, and maybe turn 1 going up the hill on Beau Rivage. So if you know how to place the car, it's not really hard to defend. And we have seen Leclerc race before. Would it have been possible? Yes. Can Max overtake him? Yes. It would have been a better race, I think, if you had a slower car up ahead of a faster car. Would have been a better race, would have been a little bit more dramatic, and you would have...
wouldn't have fallen asleep.
Exactly. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. It is what it is.
We have to wait till 2022 to see if he's able to get on pole again. Because I think if he's in front, he will win the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's, they flop the strategy,
Listen,
Like they did for Ricardo in 16.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, and we saw it. You can lose a third of your power and still win the race. With
happened
Ricardo, it was in 2019.
Yeah.
Ricardo won that race.
It happened to Ham in 2015 too, but he did it to himself. Hamilton,
No, it wasn't 20. Well, Ricardo was 2018. Hamilton was 2019.
the incident I'm referring to in Hamilton was 2015, where there was the first ever virtual safety car in Monaco,
Yes.
and then it led to a safety car. He saw on the screen movement in the pit, so he thought Rosberg had pitted, or the guys behind him had pitted, so he thought he was going to lose speed. Over the radio, he told, I guess the engineer that he wanted, these tires are not going to be well, because he thought nobody communicates on that. No, these guys are not pitted. Why would you want to pit?
Right.
So by the time he pitted, by the time he was around the pools, he caught up to safety car, so he had to slow down while everybody else is playing catch up. So by the time he made it to the pits,
He's done.
Rosberg was already there. So when he came out, Rosberg was in front of him. He's like, the same thing as this weekend. What happened, guys?
What's going on?
So as a result of the whole Leclerc drama, first position, pole position was empty. Then we had Max, Valtteri Bottas, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton in 7th, Sebastian Vettel 8th, Sergio Perez 9th, and Antonio Giovinazzi 10th, the Bergamo bullet.
So the race director decided to leave that spot open. They did not want to.
No, that's the rule.
No, I don't know. I'm saying at that moment, because I believe Horner asked him, and he said no.
Yes.
Yeah,
everybody
there
in
would
position.
have been a lot of things to change. Of
course. There was a lot of confusion,
A whole
too.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it.
They could have just put me there. But,
We got a picture there.
yeah. All right, so there's the Ferrari bad luck, and then there's the Mercedes bad luck. So Max Verstappen takes the first corner, is just out, controls the race. That's it, pretty much leads him to the promised land. He ends up winning the race. Valtteri Bottas, who was actually threatening right in front at the start of the race. What?
No, I got something. I saw today. I don't know what I saw, but I saw the picture of where it looked like Max was off the line, obviously because he was a little crooked. Is it to start off to be like, do you have to have both wheels out of whack to start that way and to get the violation of
Well, you're talking about when he went in at an angle.
Yeah, he had like an angle.
All you got to do is be in that box.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's it. All you have to do is be in that box. And I've seen him do it a lot. He's not the only one that's
No,
done
he's
that,
not the
does
only one
it.
that does that.
I've seen it done many times.
No, people were looking for
Yeah.
a similar
Yeah.
penalty as Pierre Gasly got in Barcelona for just doing that.
No, but he did that purpose, obviously, because he wanted to cover.
Yeah,
him
to
up.
cover. And
Which
he
is
did.
why Red Bull asked to see what was going to happen. He was on the dirty side of the track, less grip. He just had to make sure that he got ahead. He did get a better start than Bottas, even though Bottas.
I don't think so. Bottas got a better start, yeah.
But it was he just launched all the way up there, and like Bottas had nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, that was the thing, is that he just closed them off. And the way that corner works is that obviously it's down the straight, but then it closes off on the right hand side. Yeah, on the right hand side,
Yes.
it closes off, so you have to kind of go right and then into the left, into the right hand corner.
Otherwise, you won't make the turn.
Well, you have to go in like a little bit left and then go right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because now the cars are so big, you won't make the turn if you turn right.
Right.
You have to, a typical turn.
So Bottas was, he never really got caught up to where Verstappen was. He was not ever really threatening, but when he went to pit, let me bring up the pit graphic. When he went into pit, lap, I don't even have the
I
number.
even say it.
Lap 29. He went into pit. The front right wheel nut completely stripped. It's happened to me with my, power tools at home with screws,
So
but
strong.
With a regular screwdriver.
yeah, that's me. Just turn it like what?
Stop turning.
Yeah. This guy has like the worst luck with all the pit stops. Is it just me or like every race he gets like a slow pit stop or something
He
happens?
just has bad luck in total. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like the bad things always happen to him.
How much do you think is a Formula One car like worth, more or less? Like the price tag on a Formula One car. Let's say like I don't know, $5 million, right? Let's say for example. So
More than that, but okay.
as that was happening, I told my girl, "Babe, come in." She's like, "What happened?" Like, I know you don't like to watch it, but look at just happened to this guy. She said, "What happened?" Like, this car is worth millions of dollars, and just because that little nut would not get loose, or it was stripped, he's out of the race. And she even felt bad for Bottas. Like, oh my God, are you serious?
Oh man, rumor has it it's still there. It's still stuck.
No, it is still
Rumor
there.
has it.
It's still there. They're gonna take it back to Brackley and they gotta slice it open.
Oh my God.
So this guy's just bad luck. Bad luck, Bottas.
The slow mo that you sent earlier was crazy. Did you see all the the metal bits just coming
flying off?
Flying
Yes.
off. That's insane.
That's how it's like when I'm at the gym. The metal bits just fly off.
Everyone around him just flies off.
So as a result, Bottas DNF, and then we also had Lewis Hamilton finishing 7th. What a great weekend for Red Bull overall, who ended up having a 1st and a 4th. We'll get to that, actually. And here's where we'll get to it. The overcut. How powerful was that overcut this weekend?
It always is. Monaco.
Is
For the most part, yeah. I mean, if you
Especially since Mercedes couldn't execute it.
yeah, it always is. I remember Vettel won an overcut. He won in
Because-
2017 over
Raikkonen.
Raikkonen.
Yeah,
And a lot of teams employ it over the years, and it works really well
And look,
if you can pull it off.
2017, it worked for better, obviously to win the race, but it worked perfectly for him this weekend too as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me into exactly what I was going to say. Sebastian Vettel, driver of the day. Fantastic strategy from Aston? Or was it just, okay, this is just the strategy we're doing, and you have to execute?
Well, if it works, it's great.
Do you think they went that way because he worked for Gasly so well?
What worked for Gasly?
The strategy, because Hamilton was not able to do it.
I think Hamilton just had other problems. He could not get around the track quickly enough to make his attempted undercut work.
Mm-hmm.
If it was,
He didn't have the grip. He was
just not himself. Yeah, he was just not fast
He
enough.
just wasn't fast enough.
I even got phone calls about it. What happened to Mercedes?
Because honestly, if you're looking at
He's that 1% Mercedes owner.
there you go. If you're looking at the type of cars that you're overtaking, you are. I think it was a Toro Rosso, an Aston Martin, wasn't there?
AlphaTauri.
An Alpha. I'm sorry.
AlphaTauri, not Toro Rosso.
All right, sorry, AlphaTauri. I think there was another car in the mix, but anyways,
Paris.
Paris. All right. So I mean, the only car there that it's really as fast as that Mercedes is the Red Bull, and he got beat by an AlphaTauri and an Aston Martin.
All right, so let's
He
actually
just
go
wasn't
through.
fast enough.
Yeah. What ended up happening was Lewis Hamilton goes into pit. He went into pit on lap 29 as well. Goes into pit, helps to perform an undercut on Gasly, who was actually ahead of him. Pierre Gasly pits the following lap and actually comes out ahead of Lewis Hamilton still. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton comes up over the radio. What happened, guys? What's going on? Clearly not my
Why
fault.
is he still in front of me?
You guys
You're
just
slow,
had a bad,
dude.
yeah.
You're slow.
So from there, Vettel puts in a fast lap, and he, with the undercut, he overtakes both Lewis Hamilton and Pierre Gasly in what was move of the year that nobody saw because the TV director cut away. Not only that, but then cut away on the replay.
Oh my God! Even
I think he went on a replay to show Stroll pitting.
yeah, no, to show Stroll hidden, like bumping off the barrier a little
Oh, okay.
bit. Because even the comments are like, "Okay, what is happening? What is happening?" I think Crafty was like, "Okay, what is happening? What is happening?" Oh no, the TV director cut away.
By the way,
Please. That's for the TV director.
The
He should get fired.
The TV director wasn't an F1 employee.
No, I know, yeah.
It's a Monegasque.
Monaco, was it the Automobile Club of Monaco?
Mm-hmm. They're the ones that handle that.
That was terrible.
That was so bad. But that overtake was crazy. Them just
So they were
flying
coming up,
up Beau Rivage
Yep.
up the
Yes.
hill.
and Pierre Gasly said, if the car is 2 meters wide, Sebastian Vettel left me 2 meters and 2 centimeters to make the car work. That move,
That was like-
move of the year.
That was like a game of chicken. It's like, who's going to back out first?
Yeah. Yeah. So Sebastian Vettel, driver of the day, ends up finishing 5th. We talked about the overcut a little bit, and the other, we should have expected this, right? Sergio Perez executes the overcut of all overcuts to overtake Hamilton, Gasly, and Vettel.
Wow.
Incredible.
Through the pits or whatever. Because he lasted the longest on his, well, not the longest, but the longest of the top runners on the first stint. He made it to lap 35. Verstappen pitted on lap 34.
They're built-in traffic.
Yeah,
Good traction.
traction control. He was in free air and was able to just,
Yeah, because at one point he was leading the race too. On that
yeah.
And it was the fastest car this weekend. So,
the Red Bull.
yeah.
The only thing that I would have liked to see, they would not have done it because they didn't want to compromise. They didn't want to compromise Max's race. But what I would have really liked to see is just leave Perez out there and see if he could overtake like a Lando or a Sainz just by being. Maybe they were just too far out in front.
On track?
Not on
No,
track.
so I was making up the time
Making up the time with the overcut.
Gotcha.
because he worked so well for him that it's almost you had to say how did they do it? You know how
He started what,
He started ninth
ninth, and he got up to fourth.
He got up to
recovery
fourth.
drive.
in Monaco.
he always does, by the way. He always does very good in recovering.
I think he's.
But in Monaco, it's just a place where it's not happening.
In reality, he started. We'll call it 7th because Bottas was out and Leclerc was out.
Yeah, I mean his issue.
No, bro, Bottas was out lap 29.
His issue has been what most of the drivers that come into the second seat at Red Bull is qualifying. Well, not most of them, all of them. That was Gasly's problem, and that was definitely Albon's problem. Qualifying. So, I don't know if he gets that right. I think Perez is gonna have a good year. But I mean, obviously he's still getting acclimated to the car. It's not an easy car to drive. It's definitely easier than last season, but he just has to get that right. He's driving lights out on race day.
He always does. Perez. That's not a doubt that I think we should have on Perez. He always performs on race day, and I always think he always struggles on qualifying, but he's showing at least that he's better than Gasly and Albon.
So
But he's making up those places that he's not getting on qualifying.
And I think he'll get better too.
Yeah, he will.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we've talked about the whole, the whole grid except for Mando. This guy has arrived, yeah? Dude.
For sure.
Yo, dude. He
For sure. Hey guys, he's pedal to the metal, has not stopped. It's not like last season where he started off well and fell off. He's just driving lights out every weekend. You can pencil him in for 4th every single race, at least 4th every single race, even in qualifying, because he's driving lights out in qualifying, and he's doing his thing during the race.
I think his confidence level is also
just through the roof.
Yeah, it's at an all-time high. And
the car is just perfectly suited for him. New engine. He's just.
Dude, out of most of the drivers, he's the one that looks like he's having fun.
Him and Sainz. And look at both of them. They were on the podium. So guess what? We have Azerbaijan next, right? Then it's France. And then it's Austria ×2. Remember last year how strong he started in Austria? That's like a track that you know he's going to perform in. We have a real potential for him to, if the issues continue, where come the end of second Austria, he's still in 3rd. And
he always drives well in Austria.
yeah,
Always. Even the time that
intercept?
there was one race, it was in Austria where he was running sixth, which was at that time for McLaren was just boom, was just the
The podium
the
actually was also
the best that they can do. And I think on the last race the engine died or something like that. So and then again it's just if he doesn't finish well in Austria is because something's happened to the car, reliability issues. It's not because of him. So if he keeps driving at this level, going into Austria, you're looking. I mean, he's gonna be up there. He's driving lights out, and he is. He's proving why. Well, he's showing why McLaren signed them up for a multi-year deal, and is the future of that team.
I think he will do well in Austria, so I'm not worried about him in Austria. He has to keep this flow with in Baku. Baku is a high speed track, so we have the Mercedes engine there, so they're not going to be struggling that much. France is that's a weird track, so I don't even know how to.
It's another high-speed track.
No, I'm saying it's such a weird track with all these freaking colors that you don't even know where the right track is. So you can't even judge on anything. You look at the shot. You're like, okay, am I looking at a race, a rainbow, a racetrack? What is I'm looking at? So, but France is also going to be a good track for him as well. And then if he keeps this momentum up, he will be doing awesome all the way to. Come on, if he stays third in the in the drivers.
Yeah.
He's cemented his spot in F1.
Yes.
He's not
yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah.
He's not on the. He's you have some drivers at the end of the season. You're like, will he sign? Will he be on the grid?
Well, they already signed him to that extension.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's just like, but it's one thing if you already signed it to an extension, but there's another thing if people are wondering if he should be on the grid. There's no doubt about that Lando should be
there.
on the F1 grid.
So as a result of this weekend, we now have a new leader in the Drivers' Championship. We have Max Verstappen at 105 points, leading Lewis Hamilton by 4 points. Lewis Hamilton has 101. Third place is Lando Norris, who we just talked about, at 56. Valtteri Bottas is fourth at 47, and Sergio Perez is fifth at 44. And then Charles Leclerc, 40. Carlos Sainz, 38. So it's like once you get past that Lando Norris tier, it just bunches up where it's within 9 points you have four different drivers.
It's just by how much Hamilton and Max are out.
Well,
Awesome season.
it's I'm nervous because, like I said, Baku, France, then Austria times 2. So we know that the Red Bull is just killer at Austria, unless something happens. I think the first race of last year, Max had electrical problems or something like that in his car that he had to retire. But we know that they're going to run well there.
Usually the issue, I mean, that could be considered a Mercedes track also.
Austria?
Yeah, but I mean the issue that Mercedes always runs into in Austria is the overheating problems.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
They
But
always have issues when it's like high temperature.
do we see Hamilton and Verstappen keeping it as close as they have been this season?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the next...
I don't think Hamilton is going to
Tell you what,
allow Max to run away with it.
Max has probably been the most consistent driver on the grid the last 2 seasons.
Yes.
Aside from Hamilton. But Hamilton's a champ. That's why he wins.
The champ is here.
So, and what Mercedes has shown always is that when they have a bad weekend, they always bounce back strong. So, I ain't counting them out, but...
So will you say that Monaco was the perfect track to have a bad weekend on?
I don't think there's ever a perfect track.
No, what I say is because of the challenge that Monaco brings, and it's not a track that you will say is...
No, any points. You want to get any points.
Obviously, yeah. No, what I'm saying is, okay, so the lessons to be learned, do you prefer to happen to you, like, for example, at Baku or at Monaco, which is a very tough place to get any kind of data?
I mean, like I said, Monaco's an outlier.
What does that mean?
Meaning that everything is different in Monaco. It's just not a regular track.
And it's not the same as any other track.
And then, but what does Red Bull have to do going forward? And Helmut Marko said this, and this was
Stiffen the wind?
no, is keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
Because once you put the pressure on, things happen that you can take advantage of. It's like, I was thinking about this when I read that. I was thinking, remember, I don't know what you would know the year when the Giants beat the Patriots. It was
Which one?
17
2011 or 2007?
When they were 17-0. I mean, it was
2007.
17-1.
But they were the 17-1.
February 4,
But
2008.
the strategy.
February 4, 2008.
He knows. Weren't you there?
No, that was the other one.
Okay, but you put the pressure on Tom Brady. He makes mistakes and you take advantage of it. Same thing. You just got to put the pressure on. And Max Verstappen, along with the entire Red Bull team, has kept the pressure on Mercedes, and they have shown cracks in their armor in various races already this season. And this race was a total disaster.
Yeah, this weekend was.
So I'm going to go through. I'm going to read the Constructors' Championship. So Red Bull, 149. Mercedes, 148. So 1 point separating them.
Who would have thought
Remember
that was going to happen?
McLaren,
The last
80. Ferrari, 78.
Bam.
We're back. The 90s.
Dude.
Aston Martin, 19. Thank you, Sebastian Vettel. AlphaTauri, 18. Alpine, 17. So we're getting a convergence, right?
Yes.
So remember that Red Bull and Mercedes were 1 point apart. Max Verstappen on the season, 5 races, 1 fastest lap. Lewis Hamilton, 2. Valtteri Bottas, 2. How much is that fastest lap point gonna?
No.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said since they introduced it. If the race is close at the end of the season, those points are
Could
going
have
to be
forgotten.
Guess what?
key.
Guess what's
And remember, we have
after
sprint
Austria?
races.
Yep. Right after Austria is Great Britain, which is our first sprint race, which is introducing more championship points.
There you go.
Up for grabs.
The more chances you got to get points, the better, especially when the racing is close. And obviously, we have different groups, but the racing is close. Obviously, you have Red Bull and Mercedes. You saw it, 148, 149. Now you have
Ferrari, McLaren.
Ferrari and McLaren, 78 to 80.
Yep.
And then you have the next group, which is Aston Martin, AlphaTauri,
And Alpine.
and Alpine,
19,
19,
18,
18, and 17. And then you have Alfa Romeo and Williams, 1-0.
Very binary. Shout out to 3 legs, 4 wheels.
Everybody, those extra points at the end of the season loom large. So
Money.
and this is why sometimes when you get a boring race, and at the end of the race you see everybody going for the fastest lap, it's fun for us to see, but it's also it's important to get any point that you can get, because you never know where you're going to wind up at the end of the season and what you're going to be needing. So you got to get those points.
Show this weekend. We haven't.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that about wraps it up for my little diatribe here. Is there anything else we should bring up, boys?
We're going to talk about this. So this is a bit of a preview for our well done Baku Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview. Is the flexi wing or the bendy wing saga, whatever the hell they want to call it, or what we call it, Wingate.
Wingate.
There's been a lot of chatter. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next episode, but we'll get you guys updated on what is going on with that and how it could affect the happenings in Baku.
All right. So to that end, guys, if you like what you're listening to, make sure to hit the subscribe button on podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. We're also on YouTube. Hello. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you are okay with it. If you like what you hear, hit that bell. We are at Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and also on Instagram at Jump to Start F1 to make sure that you heard that. Anything else, guys?
Yhancy?
Peace.
See y'all later.
See you guys in Baku.